Something has shifted in America. Towns that used to quietly lose population are now writing checks to reverse it. Not metaphorical checks, actual money. Thousands of dollars, sometimes tens of thousands, handed to people willing to pack up and move somewhere new. A small Minnesota city at the headwaters of the Mississippi will cover your moving costs and give you a co-working membership. A Rust Belt Michigan city is putting up to $26,000 on the table. A Kansas oil town will send your kids to college. And at number 1 on this list, a Nebraska town of fewer than 900 people is offering $50,000, the highest relocation incentive of any municipality in the country. Because if they don't get new families through the door, they may stop being a city at all. Make sure you stick with us until the end, because that number 1 story is something else entirely. If this kind of deep dive into forgotten corners of America is what you're looking for, subscribe to this channel. We post stories like this every week. Today we are counting down 12 US towns offering you real money to move there. Number 12. Bemidji, Minnesota. The Headwaters Hustle. Beltrami County in north-central Minnesota was ranked number 1 in the state for gigabit internet access. That is not a sentence most people expect to read about a remote Pine Lake town 300 miles from Minneapolis. Bemidji launched its 218 Relocate program in February 2021, offering up to $2,500 in reimbursed moving expenses, plus a free year of co-working space, a total package of around $4,000. By 2022, 45 telecommuters and their families had taken the deal. PCMag ranked Bemidji 8th in North America for remote work livability. The sell is simple: keep your job. Move 30 miles from where you can literally step across the infant Mississippi River on foot, and let the loons handle the commute noise. The Paul Bunyan statue on the lakefront has been watching people arrive here for decades. He seems unbothered by the new ones. Number 11. Lincoln County, Kansas, the middle of nowhere that pays you to arrive. The town of Lincoln, Kansas, has a slogan, the size of a dime with the heart of a dollar. When Lincoln County launched its relocation program through Make My Move, over 1,000 people applied. The package includes up to $5,000 in cash, a free lot to build a home within the city limits, a $500 internet credit, and a 100% Kansas state income tax waiver for eligible years. The median home value here sits around $92,000. The nearest large city is a 3-hour drive in any direction. That is either the deal breaker or the entire point, and Lincoln County is betting there are more people who see it as the latter than the real estate market currently reflects. Number 10. Neodacia, Kansas. The oil town that bet on remote work. Drive into Neodacia, and the first thing you see is a 65-foot oil derrick in the center of town. That derrick marks the site of the first commercial oil well west of the Mississippi River, drilled in 1892. A century later, the oil was gone, and so were the people. 2 Neodacia natives, Ben Cutler and Phil Griffith, decided to reverse that. They built a boutique hotel. They renovated the downtown square. They added restaurants. Then, they partnered with Make My Move and started offering $6,800 in incentives, including a state income tax waiver, student loan assistance, daycare support for working parents, and the Neodacia Promise Scholarship, which covers college tuition for children of new residents. Within weeks of launching in 2025, 30 people were in the process of moving. The town that once drilled for oil is now drilling for remote workers. The equipment is different. The ambition is the same. Number 9. Topeka, Kansas, the capital that figured out it was losing its own workers. Go Topeka ran the numbers in 2019 and found that 40% of workers earning over $40,000 who worked in Topeka did not live in Shawnee County. They were commuting in, spending their paychecks elsewhere, paying taxes elsewhere. The Choose Topeka program launched in December 2019 to fix exactly that. It offers up to $15,000 for on-site workers who purchase a home, and up to $10,000 for those who buy remotely. More than 500 people have relocated through the program, coming from 47 states. Over 60 local employers now co-fund the incentives alongside the city. The program expanded in 2026 to include veterans transitioning out of military service. Topeka is also home to the Brown v. Board of Education National Historic Site, one of the most significant landmarks in American civil rights history. The city was always worth moving to. It just needed to say so louder. Number 8. Jackson, Michigan. The Rust Belt Reboot. Jackson, Michigan sits between Detroit and Chicago on I-94, and it has had a difficult 50 years auto industry decline, population loss, the long Rust Belt story that has played out in cities across the Midwest. But Jackson has constructed one of the most aggressive relocation menus in the country. Up to $25,000 in down payment assistance for new home construction. A separate $20,000 signing bonus for people willing to join the Jackson Police Department. Income eligibility requirements apply, but the total package for qualifying new residents reaches $26,000. The Cascades, a 500-foot multi-tiered man-made waterfall in Sparks Foundation County Park, runs through the city. Ann Arbor is 45 minutes east. It turns out Jackson does not have an awareness problem so much as an asking problem. It asked. Number 7. Newton, Iowa, after Maytag left. In 2006, Whirlpool acquired Maytag and began shutting down its Newton, Iowa headquarters, taking thousands of local jobs with it. By 2011, 0 single-family homes were being permitted in Newton. Not a slow year. 0. The City Council approved the Newton Housing Initiative in 2014, $10,000 cash to anyone who built a new owner-occupied home, valued at $240,000 or more, funded through general obligation bonds, meaning new residents pay property taxes from day one. By 2019, 101 new homes had been built. By 2020, Newton had reached its highest population ever. The former Maytag factory is now a $48 million redevelopment project, apartments, a boutique hotel, event space. The Maytag name, meanwhile, lives on at a separate family dairy farm outside town, where it makes some of the most acclaimed blue cheese in America. The washing machines are gone. Something else stuck. If you are finding this video useful, drop a thumbs up and let us know in the comments which of these programs caught your attention most. We read every one. We are only halfway through the list, and the programs from here on get considerably larger. Number 6. The Shoals, Alabama, Florence, Alabama, was founded in 1818. The four-city Shoals region, Florence, Muscle Shoals, Sheffield, Tuscumbia, is where Aretha Franklin, the Rolling Stones, Bob Dylan, and Percy Sledge recorded work that ended up defining American music. Fame Recording Studios and Muscle Shoals Sound Studio are both still there, one giving tours, one a museum. Remote Shoals launched in 2019, offering $10,000 to qualified remote workers who relocated here, distributed over a year. By 2022, the program had received 2,300 applications from all 50 states. The median home price at the time was $204,917, roughly half the national average. The cash incentive program has since ended. But the studios are still there. The history is still there. The affordability is still there. Some places are worth moving to whether or not someone is paying you. And the Shoals has been making that argument since 1966. Number 5. Greater Rochester, New York. Finger Lakes fortune. Eastman Kodak once employed 60,000 people in Rochester. Then digital photography arrived, and by 2012 Kodak had filed for bankruptcy, and Rochester was left trying to figure out what came next. What came next turned out to be a genuinely compelling pitch. New York State. Lake Ontario waterfront, the Finger Lakes wine region, rated among the country's best. World-class museums, including the George Eastman Museum in Eastman's original 50-room mansion. Median rent of around $1,300 per month. against a national average of $713, and up to $19,000 in relocation grants and home buying incentives through the Greater Rock Relocate program. You must live more than 300 miles from downtown Rochester or in a different state to qualify. The program received 4,000 applications in its first 2 years and updated its guide in February 2026. The city that couldn't picture a future is still developing the shot. Number 4. Tulsa, Oklahoma, the city that wrote the playbook. The Art Deco skyline comes up on you suddenly out of the Arkansas River Valley in a way that genuinely surprises people who didn't know Tulsa existed at that scale. Tulsa Remote launched in November 2018, funded by the George Kaiser Family Foundation, offering $10,000 grants to remote workers willing to relocate. The money is distributed over 12 months. Homebuyers can receive it as a lump sum. As of 2025, more than 3,400 remote workers have moved to Tulsa through the program. A study by the W.E. Upjohn Institute found every dollar invested generates more than $4 in local economic return. The program accepts roughly 3% of applicants. It is competitive. It is also, by the numbers, one of the most effective economic development tools any American city has deployed in recent decades. 70% of participants stay in Tulsa after the program ends. The Oklahoma legislature noticed. Tulsa Remote directly inspired the state's Remote Quality Jobs Incentive Act, a private foundation's bet on a city, turned into state law. More than 70 communities nationwide have since launched their own versions. Tulsa didn't just run a relocation program, it started a movement. Number 3. West Virginia. Almost heaven pays you to come home. Brad D. Smith grew up in Canova, West Virginia, in a state defined for decades by a single pattern. It produces talented people, and then it exports them. When Smith became chairman of Intuit and accumulated the means to do something about it, he and his wife Ailey gave $25 million to West Virginia University's Outdoor Economic Development Collaborative and built Ascend WV. The program launched in 2021. It offers $12,000 in cash per participant, distributed monthly over 24 months, plus 2 years of free outdoor recreation, whitewater rafting, ziplining, gear rentals, plus co-working space, a welcome trip, and professional development through WVU. The full package is valued at more than $20,000. Since launch, Ascend has received over 65,000 applications and relocated nearly 1,000 residents across 6 communities, from Morgantown to the New River Gorge. The retention rate is above 96%. People who move to West Virginia through this program are not leaving. Ascend Heroes, a variant for veterans of any U.S. military branch, runs alongside it. West Virginia is the only state that joined the Union by seceding from a seceding state. It split from Virginia in 1863 because its mountains set it apart. A century and a half later, those same mountains are what Ascend WV is selling. The packaging has changed. The product has always been there. Number 2. Northwest Arkansas. The Blueprint. 66,000 people applied from 115 countries. To move to Bentonville, Arkansas, the Life Works Here program launched in November 2020, funded by Stuart Walton and Tom Walton of the Walton Family Foundation, offering $10,000 in cash or cryptocurrency, plus a free mountain or road bike to remote workers who relocated to Northwest Arkansas. The region has 162 miles of paved trails and 332 miles of mountain biking. Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art, funded separately by Alice Walton at a cost exceeding $1 billion, sits in Bentonville in a Frank Lloyd Wright-influenced building in 120 acres of forest, with free admission. The region had become world-class without anyone outside it knowing. The program was the announcement. Applicants came from Norway, Japan, Brazil, places that had no prior reason to consider Bentonville, Arkansas, until someone offered them $10,000 and a bike to look more closely. The cash incentive has since ended. But the trails are still there, the museum is still free, and the region is still growing. The Waltons prove something the rest of the country is still catching up to. The right incentive, in the right place, at the right moment, can change how the entire world sees a place that was hiding in plain sight. Number 1. Pawnee City, Nebraska. The town that offers $50,000. And they're not kidding. Nebraska Highway 8 runs southeast through gently rolling farmland, creek valleys, hardwood groves, more pastoral than the Great Plains imagery people carry in their heads. You pass a water tower, a grain elevator. Then Main Street appears. Under 900 people live in Pawnee City. A few more, depending on which year you check. The numbers have been drifting downward for 50 years. From a peak of around 1,280. That decline is not just a statistic. In Nebraska, there is a threshold, drop below 800 residents, and a city is legally reclassified as a village. Village status means a restructured tax base. A restructured tax base means a school becomes harder to fund. A hospital. A fire department. The civic leaders in Pawnee City looked at that number and decided to do something about it. They did not offer $5,000. They did not offer $10,000. They offered $50,000, the highest relocation incentive of any American municipality, verified, in down payment assistance toward a newly built home. The money came from proceeds of 2 homes the city itself built and sold, using a $650 Dirodri, Nebraska Affordable Housing Trust Fund grant, a real estate machine that funds itself, one house at a time. The Vision 2030 program was announced on March 14, 2025. By March 27, 13 days later, 115 people had applied. New homes in Pawnee City are priced at around $325,000 against a prior median sale price of roughly $100,000. For a qualifying buyer, $50,000 in down payment assistance on a $325,000 home is not a gimmick. It is a real number. There is also a $35,000 renovation grant available for anyone willing to open a downtown business. Pawnee City is the birthplace of Daniel Whitney, Larry the Cable Guy, the voice of Mater in the Cars films, who toured small Nebraska towns in early 2025, donating proceeds to rural communities. Somewhere in the Vision 2030 planning meetings, the team reportedly joked about getting Amy Poehler to reprise Leslie Knope for a Save the Real Pawnee campaign. They didn't need her. The real story was enough. Across 12 communities, from a Minnesota lake town with gigabit internet to a Nebraska county seat fighting to stay on the map, the common thread is the same. These places have something real to offer. They just decided to stop waiting for people to notice on their own. For me, the entry that sticks is Pawnee City, a town with fewer than 900 people engineering a real estate instrument that funds its own survival, one house at a time, while counting down toward a legal threshold most people didn't know existed. Which entry surprised you most? Let us know in the comments, and if you want more stories like this, subscribe